Hi, everyone. So today we are going to have a great webinar. So hopefully you'll be able to tune in. If not, we always have it recorded so you can come back and listen to it and watch it later. So this week we're going to have a wonderful department on here that is kind of new, but has a lot of things going on. So every week we try and have a department on to discuss things that are just all Epic. We want to provide our new to Epic families, but also our families that are still with us, that are not new, all this great information because there's a lot of information and sometimes we just need to get it out there for everyone to hear a little better. I am Shawnee Woodruff. I'm part of the Epic development team.
And I'm Ashley Brown, and I'm also from the Epic Development Team. So excited to be here today. We're going to talk to our support services team. So, kind of something new at Epic, a little bit, not exactly, but it's really interesting to hear what they're up to. I just put in the chat our team's phone number and email address. So, if you are watching and you have questions or comments, please put those in the chat box, and we will get to all of those. But if you have something that might need more one-on-one attention or just needs a little more in-depth discussion, please reach out to our team. Somebody would love to help you. So today we are being joined by Elizabeth and Jenna. Do you guys mind introducing yourselves and telling us your role at Epic? We'll start with Elizabeth.
Absolutely. Good afternoon. I am so excited to join you all at this Ask Epic today. My name is Elizabeth Suddeth. I am the Managing Director of Student Wellness and Support Services here at Epic. And I'll talk a little bit about what that means here in just a moment.
Excited to have you, Elizabeth. What about you, Jenna?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to talk about all of the great things that we have. I am the Director of School Counseling Services, and my name is Jenna Jones.
Awesome. Happy to have you both. We appreciate it. So at Epic, we kind of talk about this week after week, but we recognize that, to be a good school, it's more than just having a good teacher and having a good curriculum. We really want to have that whole child approach. And so it's important to us to hit students to help them on every aspect of their life. And so this department, this support services really kind of demonstrates that. So we're really excited to work with you today and kind of share this information because I know when I talked to you guys last week, I learned a ton. And so I'm happy that we get to share it with our families today.
Yeah, this is helpful for our families, and it's also helpful for anybody who is an employee in Epic because we're so large. There's just a lot of information out there. So this is a really good way for people to get that information. So at the beginning of every webinar, we just like to ask for a tip for success. And that can be really anything that you would like to share. But we're just going to ask you to share a tip for families that are within Epic to see how that tip could help them with their success in their educational journey. Let's start with you, Jenna.
So I would definitely say that making connections and building relationships, both with your teacher, with other students, or even other families that are Epic. Building your community here at Epic will really enhance just your overall educational experience.
Yes, it does. It's huge. It really is. I love that you said that. Elizabeth, how about you?
I'm kind of on the same vein there. The more connections you have, the more and relationships you build across, the more you realize just the vast amount of resources that Epic has to offer. It is so incredible, especially when I was new to the district, just learning at everything that Epic is doing to help support students and families is pretty incredible. So staying connected to all those resources and knowing what's out there for you and utilizing even platforms such as this. So to make sure that you're in the know. And as Jenna said, you're building up those connections.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's so important. We see students do really well when they find a way to plug in. And there's one great thing about Epic is there's so many different opportunities for whatever is your student's interest. It blows my mind how much is out there for these kids. And that just really, I know when I used to teach my kids that were plugged into all the different activities, those were my kids that really blossomed, you know? Okay, so the Student Wellness and Support Services, you guys are just one of our departments that works behind the scenes to deliver great outcomes for our students. So these counselors is what there's a portion of y'all that are counselors, but you guys have to be ready for everything. So you guys are helping on the physical side, the social side, mental, emotional, all of it. And so that's something that's really important. And it's something that, you know, we feel like Epic is doing it right. We feel like we're the school that's in the whole state. We're doing it differently and we're doing it right. And so we're really proud to share this today. So I'll start with you, Elizabeth. You said you were going to touch on this earlier. You guys are new, so we would love for you to share about, I know you mentioned there's 4 divisions within your department. Can you talk more about what those are?
Absolutely. Yes. So as Ashley mentioned at the beginning of this, we here at Epic are really focused on the whole child and the whole student when we take an approach to learning. So we know the best way for students to be engaged in their learning and for best way for students to be able to learn new information and have academic success is to make sure that they are supported throughout, whether that's connected to community level supports or whether that's mental health supports. We know that we have to make sure that all basic needs are met of students so that they can be academically successful. So that is where I am so excited about the team that we were able to put together. And yes, I will say Epic, I truly believe is unlike any other district in the level of support that is being offered to families and to students. And it's pretty incredible to see and to get to be a part of. So our team, as I mentioned, we're formed really in the last year. There are some existing resources that were before. There's some brand new resources that we're expanding throughout the next school year that Jenna will talk a little bit more about. But we are the Student Wellness and Support Services team. So we are made up of 4 different divisions. Our first division, school counseling, and I won't go too much into that detail because I'm going to let Jenna talk a little bit more about our school counseling program and what that looks like here at Epic. But we also have our social support services. So again, this is a partnership with a lot of our community agencies that we're able to connect families to resources. And we also have our prevention services division. So that's looking from everything from bullying prevention to just healthy behavior promotion. So how do we build protective factors so students are able to grow skill sets that they can use and, you know, to have that post-secondary success, to have that success beyond just being in our district. And then we also have our newest division, which is our resilient schools. So that's focusing on how do we have a trauma-informed school system that focuses on building hope for students and hope for the future. And that's not only programs for students, but also there's a lot of training for educators involved and administrators. And what does it look like to be whole child focused? And how do we make sure we're supporting the needs of all students so again, that they can have that academic success?
That is a lot, Elizabeth. That is a mouthful. When you talk about 4 divisions, that is a lot. So I'm just so excited that we're going to share all this information because it is a lot. Jenna, I'm going to go to you on this question. We're going to ask you about what the school counselors program is, but before I let you talk, I'm just going to say, I think that a lot of families out there are going to be kind of surprised that we have school counselors, because that is something that you think of in more of a brick and mortar public school. And, you know, you go to the counselor's office and things like that. So I am excited to hear what you have to say about being an Epic school counselor.
Absolutely. And we are so excited to be building this program of school counselors here at Epic. Epic has always had really great partnerships to provide more of those intense mental health services that some of our students need. But what we really started to see was a lot of our students would benefit from just having a school counselor that they can check in with, that they can touch base with, ask questions, someone that can guide them through their educational process, someone that they can do some early interventions with, teach them those skills that will help them be a more successful student and a more successful citizen after they graduate high school. And so we are just really excited. We started with counselors at our virtual learning centers, and we have just started to expand from there. And we are so excited to announce that in the next school year, we are going to increase by an additional 13 school counselors. So that way we have even more access for all of our students to have someone there that they can reach out to for any of their needs.
You gave me goosebumps there, Jenna, when you said that many all at one time. Does the school counselors program, does it have a name?
It is just our school counseling program. So every managing director of instruction will have their own school counselor. And so all of those teachers will know exactly who they can reach out to if they need help. And then all of our students will also know exactly who their school counselor is if they need anything as well.
Okay.
Okay, so kind of jumping on that same line, Elizabeth, I know that you guys told us last week that counselors would be assigned to specific MDIs. Could you tell us a little bit about the reasoning behind that? I thought this was really interesting and I was really excited for it.
Yes. So, and we did go through several models. What does this need to look like? How will students know of exactly who they need to connect with? We want to make sure that access is readily available for any student who requests those services. So we decided the best way to do that is to, like Jenna was saying, assign them out by MDI. So each teacher, each principal, each family and student, you will know exactly who your school counselor is. And as long as you are on that team, you will have that same school counselor throughout the duration. So it's pretty incredible to be able, as we mentioned, building relationships is going to be so critical, especially here at Epic and learning everything that we have. So being able to know exactly who is my school counselor, who is my student school counselor, I think that is going to be just a huge part of what we can see of success with this program. So really looking forward to that. And like I said, being able to just see the students grow throughout their entire educational career and have that same school counselor and really have somebody that they can lean on for support in the district.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I think it's like you said, connections are so important, and being able to see like those MDIs or those principals, they're going to know, oh, Jenna's our counselor. She's great. That's who can help us with this. Because sometimes you hear something and you don't know where to turn. And so to know that we know who our person is, that is going to be a game changer. I'm so excited about that.
Yes, I think that looking at the way that we are mostly a virtual school. We do have other models, of course, but we have a lot of virtual students. And I think bringing this is very on the up and up. It is just really not something that we're seeing everybody else doing. So I think that we are just on the cutting edge all the time of whatever is new and whatever's great. And I love that we're able to do this. So I would say probably we can go with Jenna on this, but if Elizabeth feels like she can have a better answer or another answer to go with it, that would be great. So if a family wanted to receive some type of counseling, how would they go about requesting that counseling? We did talk about the MDI being assigned to teams, but how would they go about actually asking for a counselor?
So what's really exciting is as a part of the ILP process, students will be able to, or families will be able to, during that process, say, hey, I would like to connect with a school counselor. And so to start off your school year, that is a really easy way to say, yes, I would love for someone to reach out. And then the counselor will reach out to each one of those students and families just to talk about what their services are, check in, see what barriers they have to learning to starting that year. They will also be able to utilize our request or referral system. So we did drop in the chat a flyer that helps with referrals to all of our different services that families can reach out for. So I know sometimes there are sensitive topics that maybe we think, hey, I don't know that I want to go to my teacher. I would like to go directly to my school counselor to receive, services and supports. And so that referral process is a great way to do that. We are also going to make it very easy for students to be able to just schedule with their school counselor and do all of those things to make accessing our school counselors as easy as possible. Teachers can also make referrals. So if you have that really strong relationship with your teacher, please reach out to them and they will also be able to help get you connected very quickly as well.
Great. That is great information. I think that you all will be very utilized.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so kind of changing gears a little bit. I know that we talked in the beginning, Elizabeth, about the 4 divisions. So we've kind of hit on counseling. Can you tell me a little bit more about the social support division, what they do, and maybe the best way to get that, like we've talked about, referral if they need it?
Absolutely, yes. So this area I would say is when like I said, when I started here and was learning about all the resources, this area I think is our most robust. It is the area that we've had the most work in over the last few years. And it is led by an incredible team of individuals who are making home visits, who are going and connecting with the community. So our social support services are really some of those most intensive services and interventions that we can provide to families. So it is looking at families who maybe need access to food, clothing, shelter. We have food banks that are a partnership with the regional food bank. We have food pantries across our state, and it's making sure that students have access again to those basic needs and making sure basic needs are met there so they can learn. And we have access in all 77 counties. So like I said, we have a team, we have multiple community partnerships. I think that has been what has been so incredible to learn about, is just all of the community partners that we have at EPIC who say, hey, we want to help out just as much as you want to help out your students and families. So that social support service team is keeping in contact with those community resources, making sure we're identifying families who really need help and support, and getting the word out that it's not just about maybe your academic learning, but if you have something else that is a barrier to that, reach out to our team. And we are happy if we don't currently have a service, we're happy to brainstorm that with you and get you connected. Like I said, all across the state to people who can help. So it's a really, like I said, incredible division, incredible group of people who just have a heart for serving and a heart for our state.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that kind of speaks again to EPIC's desire to serve the whole child, and recognizing that if a student doesn't have some of their basic needs met, that student's not ready to learn. They're not going to be able to reach their full potential. So EPIC really, they walk the walk, we're saying, hey, we're going to help you get that. And I've seen that myself. They do an amazing job. Like you said, even if they don't know exactly they don't have something ready to go, they'll say, let's figure it out. It's really impressive. And so again, is the referral process for the social support team the same?
Yes, so you can access, families or students can submit their own ticket through the ticketing system, that referral process. Teachers, educators, anybody in the school can fill out one of those requests. So you can access it on the flyer that Jenna was talking about in the chat. It is also on our website under social services.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I was going to ask that question. Where would they find that ticket? Because we have a lot of words that we use in EPIC that a lot of other people don't understand. So I was going to make sure that we got onto that subject there for a second to see where it is that you can actually find that ticket. I also noticed that in a lot of our events that we had this year with family engagement, we also had things like coat closets and things like that students, if they were in need, they could actually come to those events and get some of those things as well, which I'm sure was your department. So that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so we're talking about all of these wonderful things that we have, but you touched on something earlier, Elizabeth, that was called prevention. So prevention is something that I don't really know that I've heard too much about. And so I was just wondering, how is your team working on supporting students with that prevention?
So, prevention, if I've talked a lot by now, is the one thing that I could spend the entire hour talking about. Prevention is definitely one of my passion areas, and just something I believe so much in as a school district, excuse me, that the more we focus on building up, give me just one moment. I am so sorry. So the more we focus on building up some of those protective factors as early as possible, so whether it be just communication skills, some healthy boundary skills, just some of those really core life skills that we can help embed in students. The more we're able to see that can actually prevent them from adverse risk later on in life. So the more protective factors you build, the less likely that you have risk factors later for some of those more serious adverse health outcomes. So the more we can talk about bullying prevention and what does empathy look like among, especially when we're talking about bullying prevention, where do you go for help if you are experiencing bullying? Some more programs around just making sure we're building up those skills in students, and letting families know that exists here as well. So we do have a program that is in this office also called Empower You. And it's an incredible program that any family can request and sign up for, that students actually, it's more about goal setting. So students can set goals that they want to achieve throughout the course of the program. And they work through lessons about goal setting and how to increase motivation and how to increase engagement. And then they actually can work with a coach throughout this process that will check in with them and look at where they're at with their goals and meeting those. And we have seen just incredible outcomes for students. We have seen increase in academic engagement. We've seen increase in academic scores. Just overall students saying that, programs like this really work for me. I realize, where I want to go, and this actually gave me the tools of how to get there. So that's really what the field of prevention is all about. How do we give students the tools to get to the path of where they're wanting to go?
Just touching on that real quick, Elizabeth, do you have any idea if that Empower You that we offer, is that something that can be a credit class? Is that something that is just a class that we offer on the side, or how does that work?
Yes, it can be used for a credit.
Awesome.
Yes.
That is great news. Yeah.
Yeah. Hit two birds with one stone, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So moving on to the final division you talked about, can you tell us more about what resilient schools means and what that department is, or what that division, I apologize, is working on?
Yes, so our resilient schools, as I mentioned, this is where we talk a lot about trauma-informed schools, which is a topic in education that we really look at how does life experiences impact not only us, but students and families that we're working with, and how do we make sure that we have lessons, and how do we make sure we have conversations in a way that is supportive and getting, again, those families connected to those resources. So we look a lot at, how does brain development impact learning? We share a lot of resources, and really, again, making sure that the entire school community knows where to go for resources, and also knows their role in working with students. Maybe, if we're working with students that do need some additional support, knowing that maybe that's outside of my realm. That's not something that I can necessarily do as a teacher, but I know that there's this team that exists that I can do a warm handoff and say, hey, I think we need some more additional help here. So being able to identify some of those situations as well. So it's overall just about building a more resilient school community, building a school community that is centered on hope. Again, that hope for the future. We know that the more that students have hope for where they want to go, what they want to do after school, the more likely they are to attain that. So it's just, again, rounding out that whole child, making sure we're looking at every single angle of how are we supporting families.
Yeah, that's really amazing to hear. I think that's so important, and that's something that I really believe in is the whole child approach, and that really just rounds it out. I see a question here from Delana. She's asking, is Empower You only for high school students? What grade does that start? Do you know? I'm not quite sure on that one.
Do you want me to fill that one, Elizabeth?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, so we Empower You, we have 3rd through 12th grade. So students can enroll in Empower You all the way down to 3rd grade. And then if our students that are younger learners than that, we do actually have a program that can be purchased through the Learning Fund. And it's really cool because it actually brings in the whole family and really talks about those happy emotions, healthy families. And so it really brings in that whole family approach to how can we all work together on setting goals and creating tolerable stress and things like that. So both of those are great programs. Both are by Empower You, and your teachers can help you sign up for either one of those.
Yeah, I learned something new just then because I did not know it went all the way down to 3rd grade, and I didn't know we had anything for younger grades with the family in mind. So that is really good information. I always learn something on these webinars. Okay, so Jenna, what are the requirements to be eligible to receive mental health benefits, and do you have to have insurance?
So I absolutely love how you worded this question because my love of mental health really is all about that tiered approach. We really want to start at tier 1, where we're working with all of our students on mental health. What is stress? We all experience stress. What's the difference between tolerable stress and chronic stress? And, how do we have those skills to cope with both of those? Because we know tolerable stress really builds a lot of resilience, and it creates, those adults that are able to be really successful. Same with sadness. It's really important for all students to understand that we will experience sadness at lots of different times in our lives. But we also need to know that if we're experiencing sadness for a long time, and sadness that we can't really explain what is the cause of that sadness. So those are all of those things that everyone is eligible to really start to learn about. And that's what we want our school counselors to be here, to really start to teach our students that there isn't stigma behind, sad feelings and things like that, but that everyone has a very, robust range of emotions. And those are all very healthy. But then we know that at tier 2, some of our students need that more targeted support from a school counselor. Every student would benefit, from reaching out and doing a touch base with their school counselor. Some students might benefit from doing some, mental health small groups or some skill small groups. And so those school counselors here at EPIC are going to be well equipped to provide those types of services to our students. And then we know that sometimes those supports and services maybe aren't quite enough. And so we are really working on increasing our partnerships with mental health agencies to make sure that we have the capacity that if our students need mental health services from a mental health provider, that we can remove those barriers and help our families access community-based mental health programs. Often when we refer to those programs, families can reach out to us and ask for a referral. Teachers can also talk to families about the benefits of those referrals and make those referrals as well. And then once that referral is made, then we connect the family to a mental health partner that may ask for insurance. However, Epic has been very intentional that we do not want finances or insurance to be a barrier for any student to be able to access mental health services here in Oklahoma. And so we've made sure that all of our memorandums of understanding and contracts that we have set in place, that is not going to be a barrier for families. So don't feel like, if I don't have insurance or my insurance has a copay, don't let those things be a barrier to helping you and your student access those mental health services that they need, especially those tier 3 services that we know our kids that need those quickly, and they don't need barriers to get them.
Hey, Jenna, on that note, could you maybe answer the question of, so we do have a lot of families that might have some transportation issues. So if they are filling out that referral and they need or are wanting to go see a counselor, do we have is it only in person, or do we have any other availability?
So what's really great is both of our agency partners are able to offer virtual school counseling services. And so any student in the state of Oklahoma, from their home, from a microsite, from anywhere that they feel comfortable, they can get on a computer and have those counseling services with a licensed mental health professional. We also offer in-person services through one of our agency partners. And if they are not in your area, they work very diligently to make sure that they find a community mental health agency that can support those students that are wanting that in-person option.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. I know we have a lot of families that they're doing online school for a really good, a reason, because they don't have a lot of transportation and things like that. So that's a really good service that we can offer those families.
And what's really exciting is we work very closely with those agencies to really meet our students where they're at, because some of our students are even nervous about online services. And so really being able to meet that student where they are and help them grow is what's really great about those online services, is we can hit students in every part of the state.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really encouraging to hear. So I know we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but I know like when you think of a school counselor, you think of like a child that's having a rough day, that the teacher sends them down to the counselor's office for some encouraging words and maybe a sucker just to kind of get them, get them going throughout their day. And what's really cool about this is, from what you guys have told me, our school counselors at Epic are going to be able to offer things like that, just like a quick check-in, a quick word of encouragement, little things. But you guys can go all the way up to, we don't ever want this to happen, but if need be, you guys can go all the way up to a mental health crisis. So can you tell us how exactly counselors can assist students during those harder times?
Absolutely. So we know that our students come to us at various points in, their life and in their struggles. And so we are really going to make sure that we are doing some of those early interventions where we can offer some small group counseling, or some 6 to 8 weeks of check-ins, or really targeted teaching some of those skills and things like that. And then we can also, if you need to reach out to a school counselor because you're having a crisis. And when I say a crisis, it can be anything from my boyfriend broke up to me to, I am having a mental health struggle and I am feeling hopeless. And our school counselors are trained in all of those situations. They have received additional extra training and are, we call it prepare trained. And they are also youth mental health first aid trained. And so they can really support all of our students with any of their needs all along that spectrum, because we know all of our students are coming to us at different places in their life.
Yes. Elizabeth, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to add just one thing to that. Even if the crisis is not a personal crisis, maybe your family has gone through a crisis, or maybe another student at the school has gone through a crisis. Jenna has been really great at setting up a network across the state that we can do some crisis response. So even if it's not something that personally maybe happened to your child or to your student, even reaching out to us that, hey, we need some crisis response. We just need somebody to touch base, or maybe do an in-person meeting instead of a virtual check-in. Those are all things that we are working to build as well. So just all across the board.
That's great. Yeah, it's very helpful. Everything that you're doing is extremely helpful. I'm really glad we're doing this today. So we're going to move on something that's kind of it could be a little touchy. We're going to try to make it a good topic though, because it's something that needs to be addressed, because we are a virtual school. We do have other models, but we do a lot of virtual schooling. So a lot of our education, we're using computers, and I think that's just our day and age and time that everybody's using more technology. We have phones, we have computers, we have social media, we have everything that we are attached to in our lives. So it's really important that our students learn about internet safety. But why, could you explain maybe why is it so important to have internet safety, and what does internet safety really actually mean?
Yes, this is one of those topics that I don't think you can get away from as a virtual school. And like you mentioned, especially just how connected to technology we are as a society, but so dependent also in our schoolwork, and students being on devices to make sure they are completing all of their schoolwork. So we are very mindful about internet safety and talking about internet safety and what does that mean for our team. And what does that mean for sharing with students so that they are aware of that as well? So we know we want safe and supportive learning environments. And that can look like a wide range of things, anywhere from protecting students against cyberbullying. We know that cyberbullying is on the rise, all the way to just making sure students know what their searches could be done, or what information they could be sharing. So when we think of internet safety, we think of it all the way from knowing not to share personal information over devices, all the way to how to be kind over social media and interacting with our peers in a virtual space. And don't fall for misinformation. So even there can be misinformation that's out there. We do have software here at Epic that, in order to support that safe and supportive learning environment, we do have some protections in place that we are able to monitor devices and monitor that internet safety, all the way from looking at concerning searches to that cyberbullying. We are alerted through our team if there are any of those activities going on, and then our team acts as a support for that. So we're going to reach out and ask questions, get context as to why maybe there was some alerts, and then connect the family with support. So again, I think it's all the way from education. How do we talk about being safe on the internet? How do we talk to students about, hey, everything on the internet can pop up somewhere, and making sure that you're really safe with that information there, all the way to, if there is something going on and we need to reach out and support, then our team can help with that too. We also want to make sure that students know, again, going back to that misinformation, not everything you read on the internet is true, right? So going to your trusted adult for information, going to your parents for information when you have questions, and knowing that not everything that we search on the internet is going to give us the most accurate results. So again, it's all the range there.
Yeah, technology is a great thing, but it has to be monitored, right? It has to be. And we can do our part, but parents also have, that responsibility as well. So we want to make sure that we're doing our part, that's for sure. Before we start kind of closing today, is there anything that we did not touch on that either Jenna or Elizabeth would like to share or anything?
I will say, I just want to make sure I know that, if parents coming back and watching this, anybody who's enrolling students into Epic, just knowing, and I can brag on Jenna all day long. She's just incredible at and very mindful of setting up these programs, and conversations we have all the time is making sure we're engaging parents in these conversations, making sure we let parents know kind of what we're seeing on our side too. So how do we have those open conversations, and how do we make sure we're all supporting and know that we are here just to exist as a resource for parents as much as anybody. So I just want to make sure we touched on that, and know that we're very mindful about having those conversations as well.
Good. Okay. All right. Well, we want to thank both of you, Elizabeth and Jenna. You have an awesome team, awesome department. You have a lot of dedication. We can see that with ensuring that our students receive all of the support that they need daily. You guys have overwhelming responsibilities, and you handle them so well, and we can see that today during our webinars. So that's great. It's a great reminder for us that you have the respect and dedication that is needed for all of our EPIC families. So your efforts are crucial to EPIC. They are providing our students and families with the peace of mind that they need for today and also for the future. There's just a lot of commitment here, and I can't say enough for your all's department for being there to help with all of the physical, the mental, and the social health of everything that your department does. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having us. We are just so excited to share all of the exciting things that EPIC has to offer.
Yeah, well, we were really excited to have you guys on today. You had so much great stuff to share with us. I learned a ton. I hope those of you that are tuning in learned a lot. We're so excited to see where this department goes in the next school year, because you guys have big plans, and we're really excited for that. Thank you again to those of you that tuned in today or that are watching the recording. If you have more questions, maybe more questions about what we discussed today, or could be anything else related to EPIC, my team would love to help you with that. Maybe we can help you and answer your questions. Maybe we direct you to Elizabeth and Jenna, but we would love to make sure that you guys have all the information that you need to make the best choices for your students. So if you didn't see our contact info earlier, Shawnee and I's team department email is edt@epiccharterschools.org. We would love to hear from you and get you some help. Let's see. No, I have one more little reminder. I've said it, I think this is the third week in a row. Just a reminder, families, the last day to order from the Learning Fund for this year is March 31st. Don't forget, I know there's always a panic there at the end. I've seen a lot of parents posting in our Facebook page, like, I got to order, I got to get my stuff in. So don't forget, don't be like me, the person that waits to the last minute. That's no fun. And then just a reminder, we are going to be off next week for spring break. Sad not to be here, but very excited for spring break. I hope you guys are too. It was so great to talk with you today, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.
Thanks.